Cool. Hi guys, welcome along to Find for People. The platform helps you find the best and connects you with the best in health, sports and fitness. Today we're talking with Bevan James Eyles. He's an absolute legend, and he still looks as young as he does about, I would say, 30 years ago, bro. It's something like that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to bring him straight into the show and so you can see, here he is. Oh, look, there he is. The good-looking man himself. Hold on, I'm just going to put him on full screen so he's up there as well. Beautiful. He's in the middle. Mate, welcome along to Find for People, and good to have you a part of the show, my man. Oh, it was all working beautifully, and then his sound's cut out. Where's the sound? Here we go. Got him back in. See, here he is. Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me now?
Got you now, mate. Himself. Hold on, I'm just going to put him on full screen so he's up there as well. Look, I'm double talking. Beautiful, he's in the middle. Of YouTube. Mate, welcome along to Find for People, and good to have you a part of the show, my man. Cool, there we go. So I got it now. We got it all sorted. You can still hear me, yes? Nice and clear?
Yep, I can hear you good.
Perfect. Okay, we're on proper. We're going to do it both ways. Everyone else that is watching on the replay or on the live show, have comments, questions, let us know. But Bev and I are going to jump back and forth because, Bev, bro, you're doing awesome things. I've just started off this new thing. We're both really curious to know about what each other's been doing and been up to. We haven't caught up for a while yet. In fact, how long has it been since we caught up, bro? Jeez.
Wow, it'll be probably 10, 12 years now, wouldn't it? When were you living in New Zealand?
So I left New Zealand in 2010, end of 2011 I came over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So probably 10 years. Maybe. Wow.
Jeez, it was longer.
Flies, doesn't it?
Man, I went back to New Zealand in March 2012. I think I was there for only a few weeks.
Oh, I remember I did see you there. That's right, I did see you there. Yep.
I think they have a
party together, didn't
yes. we? Yes. That's how we do it. It's all about the party, bro. Party hard, party on. So let's get up. I mean, obviously people are going to be watching this as well. So let's start with you, bro. I had to go back through and I looked at your podcast. You're up to 174 and podcasts, which seems to be awesome. And I remember back in the day when we were doing body attack and stuff like that. You're an awesome speaker back then, and now I've just seen all these different podcasts and stuff like that. I don't think many people actually know. Well, definitely from this side of the world, don't know the background story behind you, bro, the background story, what got you into the fitness journey, because that's what you are. You're the most charismatic, passionate, energetic guy I've met when it comes to fitness, and it's infectious, you know. But I think there's a background story that got you into here and where you've gone. So, how about you start with this? It's just if you can just let the guys know kind of that background and.
You and I both have very interesting background stories, don't we? Because my background story is basically I was a total failure, really. I left school at 15 with no qualifications. The joke I always make is that it wasn't that I was intelligent and didn't apply myself. I was actually just a bit of a thick shit, you know. Like I really was. I couldn't spell. I couldn't read. I really had no skills at all. And I kind of went down this really bad path with drugs and alcohol, and I was the kind of guy. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 100%.
Yeah.
So when I was on that path, I was stoned 24/7. I was the guy who was asleep at a party because I got too drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And with that comes the sense of loss of ethics and morals, and you kind of just become this person who's a bit of a bad influence on not just yourself but the whole world.
Yeah.
And then I had a really bad LSD drug experience one night, and like a horrific one. And it was a moment that made me really self-reflect upon who I was, and just made me think, geez, is this the life you want? And it was a bit of a scary moment, but it was also a really important moment, because at that moment I realized it wasn't what I wanted to be. But I also knew I was kind of not good at anything in life. You know, I wasn't skilled at anything. I had this kind of period of time where I just diminished myself. And I remember just thinking at that time, well, what was the one thing you've ever been good at in life? And it was kind of fitness. Like I was always pretty good at fitness as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'll just get back into doing some exercise. I remember, I don't know if you remember the Power Rider, which was a TV television product. And it basically looked like you're humping this machine. Remember that? Yeah. And my mum had bought a Power Rider. And so I thought to myself, well, all I want to start doing is doing that 30 minutes a day. And so I started just doing that 30 minutes a day. this stage I was still doing drugs and alcohol and all the rest of it, but I was starting to get back into exercise, and then I remember I started to shift myself as a person, and then I got to the point where I was like, if I ever miss exercise because of drugs and alcohol, I'll quit drugs and alcohol. And then one day I went out and had a big night, on the drugs and alcohol, and then I didn't do my exercise, and so I went cold turkey, like the next week. Like
really?
Basically from that moment, and I haven't touched either since in like 22, 23 years. And then I just went full steam ahead with exercise, but more importantly, exercise was such an important thing for me because it taught me that I can grow. So from there, I got a career in fitness. So then once I found exercise, I thought, well, what I've done with exercise, why can't I do that with spelling? So like at 20, I went to spelling lessons with a 5-year-old sitting next to me. I'm really proud of lots of things I've done in my fitness career, but the thing I'm most proud of, like I've written a book, and this is a guy who couldn't spell the.
It changes.
So fitness totally, mate. And fitness for me is that thing of, sure, there's so many benefits of fitness, but it's that what it opens you up to is the possibility of self.
Yeah.
And, for me, at that moment in my life when I needed to find that, it was the guiding light. But then it opened me up in so many other areas that I didn't think were possible. But because I had that experience, it really did open me up. And, and then from there, I just, went hardcore into it, Ironman and career. And, so...
Yeah, tell the guys what you're doing, bro. Because literally, this is the story you talk about. You see these the people that you are. Okay, whether we think about it or not, you are a global recognized face on levels of Les Mills, and then through the running and the Ironman, you've done it on the world stage. And what you've just said. You've gone to now this completely different world where you do inspire millions. I 100%, not just through Les Mills, but through the other things that you do as well, and that change, and, people can change. And when people apply themselves, when they're really, for you, there was a click, a switch, something went on, and then you're like, geez, that's it. To go cold turkey, for a lot of people, they find hard, right? They won't switch just like that, but you've done that, and now you're in that space. I don't know, how many Ironmans have you done now?
Oh, well, I don't do them anymore. I've kind of retired from that, but I did about 8 Ironmans in my time.
Ironmans.
But I got to a pretty high level.
You did Kona, right?
Yeah, I did Kona.
Kona's,
Kona.
that's the Mecca, isn't it?
Yeah, I did. It was a crazy time. Like at that time in my life, I would exercise 30 hours a week. Every week.
Geez.
I think I probably averaged around 30 hours of exercise for probably 6 years of my life. And yeah, but I loved it. Like it's what we love doing, isn't it?
Yeah,
we love exercising, and the ultimate discovery of self. Like that, to me, that was what it was all about. Was, can I find a higher self through this thing that I'm doing? And that's why it's such an appealing sport, because every day there's a big challenge you've got to face.
Yeah.
And I loved that kind of, can I live up to that?
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I remember, and there's a thing in Ironman, a lot of people just do one Ironman, called the one and done.
Yeah.
And not diminishing that at all, because it's still an amazing achievement. But I remember a friend of mine said to me, the problem with the people who only do a one and done is they don't really get the true lessons of an Ironman.
Yeah.
And, I did it for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, the true lesson is that I can grow and achieve things that I never thought possible. And once you've done that for a certain period of time, you hold that for the rest of your life.
Mm.
And it's such a powerful thing to move forward in life with, because possibility is just such an important part of being successful in life, and that's the idea that I think I can.
Totally.
And that's definitely Ironman gave me that.
What about the side of it, like an addiction to, once you've had a taste, like you went cold turkey, you changed and you made these other choices, fitness became a massive part of your life, and you obviously there's an addiction, you got addicted to fitness, and you got addicted to being successful and to make changes, like with spelling. You're a musician as well. There's an addiction to grow and to succeed. Do you think that's what happened for you, or is it?
Yeah, totally. And in some ways, there were some downfalls of that. Like I definitely, once I got the taste, I was like, I'm just going for it, mate.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in learning how to be successful.
Yeah.
And I often talk about you look at different types of athletes. So you see some athletes have an amazing athletic career, and then once their career finishes, their life turns to custard.
Yeah.
They're basically just good sports people. And then you see athletes who have an amazing athletic career, and then once their sporting career finishes, they have an amazing life after the fact. I don't know if many of your people know rugby, but Richie McCaw is one of the greatest rugby players of all time. Now, he's retired in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He's a successful man. Whatever he does next, he's going to be successful at.
Helicopter pilot, adventure racer.
He just knows how to be successful.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of the journey of life, is that it's not that I'm just good at one thing. It's I know how to be successful. And then that's just a formula that I can take into different activities that I do.
Yeah.
So the lessons I learned from Ironman, I take into piano. The lessons I learned from piano, I take into business.
Yeah.
So you're just learning how to be successful as a person. And to me, any time you put yourself in growth points, you get the ability to learn. And that's why I think the idea of challenging and growing yourself is a really important thing, because it evolves that success formula.
What are some of the things for you that, when you look back, what are some of those things that are part of that formula for you that you've put together to be successful in these different facets or different areas of your life?
I think the more you can get good at I love the idea of winning the moment before you experience the moment.
Okay, yeah.
And what I mean by that is
visual.
Well, lots of tools really. So like I'm a big planner of my time.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm a big planner of time, because I want to make sure I'm focused and have right energy at the right times in my day. So let's say I'm going to go for a run. I've got to do a really hard set in that. If I'm planning that at a poor time of the day and I'm tired, the chance of me succeeding that is lessened. So I'm trying to be wise with my time so I can have is preloading things like my visualization techniques. I love to do the strategy of how will I feel once I've smashed that set. So instead of being afraid of that set, I put the appeal of nailing that set as a thing I want to get, and so it's all these little mind tricks that you develop. And then once you know those skills or those tricks, your job is to consistently put them in place.
Yeah, totally.
So like every time I go for a run, I'm going to spend that 5-10 minutes doing that mental prep, because I know I'm going to be more successful with my run if I do that.
Yeah, wicked.
Whereas I think a lot of people just train, they just get out and train, and it's better than doing nothing.
Yeah,
but they're not really hitting objectives.
Yeah, where are they going? Like they're kind of like a lot of people just out the door, like where am I going? Whether it be one foot in front of the other or just mentally. You've seen this. I look at it as stand on top of the mountain, that Rocky Balboa moment. These are the things you're seeing, right, for every set. And it's really interesting that you've just said that you do it for the simple things like of going for a run or that training set, where I think that a lot of people don't apply themselves. People are looking for the big glory. They're looking for that where they win the championship, not visualize the greatness out of the journey or the development or the steps they take. And that's why I think a lot of people fall back. And so it's really interesting that you've just said how, you hear it all the time, the little steps are the ones that are important. People don't see the iceberg or the bottom of the iceberg. They see the tip of the iceberg. They don't see everything else below. Like what the greatest, like Tiger Woods and even Lance Armstrong and Roger Federer, what do they do away from the cameras? What have they done away from the public eye? The hours they've put behind just to get to that point to stand out. And that's, I think, just really important that you've nailed or you've shown, or just from that side.
And I'm a big believer in developing processes and tools and systems for that. Like I spend a lot of every week I spend quite a lot of time setting myself up for success, for the opportunity to be successful in my day. I have like a weekly meeting I have with myself each week, and it's about planning my time and planning where I want to have my energy at my different times. Each day I sit down and write objectives for the day. To win consistently day in, day out. And what I mean by winning is just living a day that you can be proud of, not beating anybody. But it's just like, at the end of the day, I love this idea of how often do you go to bed satisfied with your day?
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean? And you know what I
mean?
Yeah,
totally.
If you've spent all day on Facebook and you've eaten shit food and you haven't done all the things you want to do, you go to bed feeling you've wasted your life.
Totally.
And then you get those days when you go to bed and it's like, man, I couldn't have spent a minute better today. And and that might be, and I love the idea of how many days do I consistently hit that? And then what does it take for me to do that? And to me, learning those processes and that kind of success formula to do that is a big part of your own personal development, I suppose.
Yeah, oh, massively. I totally agree. 100%. I mean, you know, it's, I don't think there is I don't think there's a secret formula. I think there is just more that people. It's a thing when someone wants something, they go and do it. You know, when they really truly want it, they'll apply themselves in either way they go. And I always look at life as like, even day to day, as it's a blank sheet of paper, and you can do whatever the frick you want. You know, realistically, it's like, yeah, you know, people say, oh, I can't because I'm used to smoking, or I'm used to eating bad foods, or I'm used to not exercising and stuff like that. And well, yeah, well, that's all these things you've picked up over life. But really, at the end of the day, you can wake up and you can be a completely different person if you chose to, and if you really, really wanted to. Yeah. You know, you went cold turkey on the drugs and alcohol type of thing. After, I mean, how long were you on there for? You were on for a while, huh? And then snapped off it.
4 years. Like I was 24/7. Like it was pretty hardcore.
Yeah. See, and then there was a passion desire. You just snapped it.
It is funny, isn't it? Because the one thing everyone who has a habit of exercise has is they prioritize exercise.
Yeah. Totally.
You know?
Even over family sometimes. That,
isn't it? Yeah, truly, yeah. But you know, like when you wake up in your day, Grant, I'm sure you think, when am I going to put my exercise in?
Well, this is a really interesting thing, because it's always part of my mind, and like 39 now, and definitely always thinking about fitness. But I've had moments where, and this is the thing, and I've been very honest over lately, that, you know, I've gone through moments where I haven't trained. I'm like talking about months. Probably the last time I did serious training was maybe 3 years ago, and now I'm looking for different ways or directions, I should say. So like I'm playing touch rugby now. I've done playing a bit of doing kite surfing and stuff like that. You know, get a bit older, the body starts to feel a bit worn out, so you want to stay active simply for the sake of staying active, right? And it's always played in there. But there was definitely moments where I've had days, and I'm really open about this, where I've gone to the end of the day and I'm going like, what the frick have I just done? What a waste of a day. I should have done something else. I could have gone for that run, could have gone for that cycle, could have gone for that other stuff. But still, yeah, for me, and it's a habit, it's habitual to say fitness, active, move. And it's really funny, because even being at 39, I still don't, what do you call it? I'm still not as what I would consider consistent as I should be. I don't know. Like I think, like, you know, back been here in Dubai, different culture, different environment. Like probably 3 years ago, I would be training 4 or 5 hours a day. You know, whether it be weights, whether it be running, whether it's cycling, whether it be mobility, movement, anything like that. Whereas the last 3 years, it's been more just kind of just be active for the sake of active. And I've definitely like lost some direction some days. For that, but it's always there, but it's ingrained to be, okay, wake up, okay, I want to go and do something just active for the sake of being active, you know. I remember talking to Lisa, and we both talked about how we would just, if we could spend every day of our life just exercising, that we would. But obviously, you got to put bread on the table and stuff like that, which is a really interesting mindset, because it comes down differently. Like I find it hard, like people find it hard to understand why I want to exercise all the time. I find it hard why people don't want to exercise all the time.
Yeah,
you know, there's two different sides of the Sorry.
Why for exercise now? Because obviously, about, you know, earlier on, and even up to about 3 or 4 years ago, it sounds like, you know, it was definitely about kind of pushing limits and maybe being competitive. Because I know you did lots of kind of competitions over there, and so what's the why for exercise for you now?
See, that's the thing. So at the moment, I struggle with the same why. I mean, my why in general is because I still have the mindset, or my mind is 21, even though my body's changed, right? It's still just as competitive. When I want to do something, I don't want to be stepped by anyone on the touch field. I don't want anyone to push me over or anything like that. If I'm kite surfing, I want to be doing those flips, those jumps, those turns. I want to be able to simply, you know, if a marathon comes up or a adventure race comes up, I want to be able to go there, and I don't want to just participate. I want to be minimum top 10. You know, that's my thing. So, but this is for me. This is a habit that's been worked on for 36 years. Let's say, so the last 3 years not the same. But even still now, it's like, I'm not here to just partake and make up numbers. I'm here to stand out, be different, or just to exceed, and not for any reason of glory or people look, but just because no, it's the nature within myself. So the why, and I'll still like this. It's funny when you say I'm still passionate about fitness, but I still go through moments where I'm like, yeah, I hate doing certain things. I hate going for that. Maybe their massive long run, like maybe a 42K run. I would be like, nah, or even some 10K, But at the end of the day, the passion overrides the hate, and you still go forward. There's a bigger why, because at the end of the day, I'm still I think there's a lot of similarities with yourself where I don't want to waste a day. I don't want to waste a second. When people say, "Oh, you should sit down and rest," oh, I'm rested, I'm dead. That mentality, that kind of thought that you have, because me, I've always taken away that time is your biggest commodity. Whether you like it or not, you've got a limited amount of time, and if you don't make use of it in the way that you truly are passionate about, then for me, you're wasting your time. If you want to be the greatest accountant and you want to spend all your time doing an accountant, and that's what makes you truly happy, for me, that's what you should go and do. 100%. So for me, it's being active, it's being outside. That's what it is for me. Or it's connecting with people and talking with people. So yeah, the why.
It's interesting, even in the time I've known you, when we spent more time together, the one thing that we always came across with you was a sense of you like adventure and you like to express yourself.
Yeah.
Like I remember you did the Auckland Marathon, and this is when you weren't really running at all. When you one day you tuned up and you did the Auckland Marathon, and like this is when I was being a pretty hardcore athlete, and I remember thinking, you're pretty fit, mate, but you're a bloody idiot, but you did it, and but that kind of always, like you've always had that sense of I'm going to try, and not because. You're very broad in what you're willing to try.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people in fitness, they kind of just stay with the thing that they're good at.
Yeah, and there's
whereas I think you were even doing parkour before it was even a thing. And you've always just had, and even now as you talk about doing kitesurfing, I think one of the things that comes through with you is that there's a longing for a sense of kind of adventure. Would that be a fair comment?
Oh, 100%. Again, it comes back, and for me, it comes back to that whole thing of time. Is like, why not? Why? I know it's kind of cliche, but why could I not be if I wanted to be? Why could I not go for prime minister, president? Why could I not change the world in some way? What makes I don't like it. And I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but like I look at celebrities and like for me, just same as anybody else. It's just someone who's taken time to go more passionate about what they want to do, And like I know that, and I shouldn't. I sometimes have to stop myself and go like, look, it's. I find myself going like, who cares? But then I should still be celebrating what they have achieved. If that makes any sense, you know what I mean? So like, I kind of lay it down the whole celebrity. And actually, to be honest, that's actually one of the things that when we were doing, when I was doing the body tech, and you're still doing it, mate, which is awesome. But when I was doing the body tech thing, and people come up to me and they were like, "Oh, that's amazing," blah blah blah. I used to brush it off. It was like, look, I'm just same as anybody else. I never ever saw a difference between me or anyone else that did it. And if anything, I think I had to learn. Actually, funny enough, I had to learn that sometimes I don't have to have a hardcore mindset. Sometimes it's good just to pull back and be like, there's something else you've given to someone. You know what I mean? They're inspired. They've now moved, and I haven't meant to do anything. For example, on the stage, but they saw it, that inspired them. They got them moving. Sometimes neglected to acknowledge that of them.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you think about that, because one thing I learned, one thing that's interesting with fitness is I have this theory that we get more respect because we're good at things that people suck at.
Yeah.
So most people suck at exercise. So when they look at someone like us, who, let's be honest, we work hard, but we don't find exercise hard. You get what I mean? Like,
yes.
The idea of us getting out the door to do exercise is not hard, but we train hard. So it's hard,
Totally.
but it's not a barrier for us to overcome. So for that reason, we get a lot of respect from people because we're good at the thing that they're bad at.
Yeah.
And, and so people look at us and they go, "Oh my God, you can just get up tomorrow and run a marathon." And, the idea of running 2Ks is just ridiculous to them. So we get this kind of unfair respect. And early on in my career, I was a bit like you. I didn't really know what that was. I didn't know what to do with it. And then I remember I got to like my late 20s and I was like, it's got a Spider-Man thing. So if people see me in this light and they respect me, how do I want to use that to help them be better?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
How do I want to use that? If you respect me because I do something that actually is pretty easy for me, but still you respect me highly.
Yeah.
How can I open you up to possibilities of what you can be?
Mm.
And to be honest, if you look at my career, very much my 20s was very much about me.
Mm-hmm.
It was about me trying to be the best body attack instructor I could be. It was about me trying to be the best Ironman I could be. And then when I got into my 30s, my career really shifted. And I'm still someone who loves a fitness challenge, but nowadays my career is very much just about how do I help other people love exercise.
Yeah.
And what's been really fascinating is I've learned so many lessons I would never learned if I just kind of focused on myself still. And with that understanding of I do get respect because I'm good at exercise, then if I can go, well, shit, I can use it to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, when I go, what I find most rewarding in my career, like I love doing a high Ironman, I love doing body attack 100, like I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
But mate, when I help people, when I help others love exercise,
Yeah.
nothing beats that.
Totally.
You know, you know.
Because you do it and you do it naturally. You know, no one had to teach you. I mean, you taught yourself, or you showed yourself the path. Have you learnt from that? Like when you do this, when you help others love fitness, did you like that?
So much.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the desire is to help people love fitness, but I mean, yeah, you must take back so much in learnings from people. I mean, what are some of those things?
Well, there's so many things I've learned. Like for example, here's some really good things I've learned. Because I've got a beginner running group. It's kind of like the Couch to 5 app, but it's a running group. Coaches, support. It's because the Couch 5 app is actually a really unsuccessful app. Most people who download it don't run 5K. So it's actually a real failing app. Our running group, we get 90% of people who join us run 5Ks, and they're people who are 35, 55, overweight, never exercised their whole life. And we have a 90% success rate. I'm so proud of it.
Wow. Well done, man. Well done.
Yeah. And so there's many things, like stupid things that I never would have thought. Mothers always put themselves last.
Yes,
so
true.
Mothers always put themselves last, and their health always comes last.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that mothers need to learn to do is to learn to be able to prioritize enough of their life to be able to put some of their own health in. And the thing they learn, which I've learned from helping lots of mothers, is that it's better for their kids if they do that because they're in a better place within themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they give themselves a little bit of time for a bit of fitness, they feel better about themselves, they have better energy, they're less stressed, so their kids actually get a better version.
Mm-hmm.
But mothers think that they have to sacrifice themselves because it's the mother's role.
Yeah.
And I would have never learnt that if I didn't help beginners.
True.
But some of the other things I learnt, like one thing that's really important for a beginner, and what I call entry point. So the entry point represents what's their first experience of exercise like with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means is what's the entry they come on exercise experience, what's the entry point? Now, when I designed our 5K program, I thought, okay, that entry point needs to be a level when I guarantee they walk away from that first session going, oh my God, I was successful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I designed it so they're exercising, but I designed it where they can't lose, where they're guaranteed to be successful, because these people are so vulnerable and they have a history of failure. If you can give them one moment where they come along and they go, shit, I did it.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they do one, then they think, well, then I can turn up to the next session. So then the next session, you make sure they win again. And then what's really important is as you stretch them, like if I was training you, mate, I'd be stretching you like crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, here's the next level. Mm-hmm. These guys just stretch is like a centimetre.
I was about to say,
what? You just got to count.
What is it? When you say a winning, when you say you want them to win, let's say it is the mother the first time that hasn't run. So what is it something that you do that is winning for them?
So first of all, the level of exercise you set for them is guaranteed to be a win. So you can't set hard exercise for them.
What do you mean? Come along, do one push-up, done whole session, that's it? Or come along, walk?
Well, like for example, like we do a little bit in our running program. We do a little bit of strength, but it's pretty basic body care work, body weight work, and it's like no pressure. If you're going to do one press up, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and then they do a walk run program, and it's like 3.5 minutes of walking with 30 seconds of light jogging. But we always tell them to go slower. We're going to get, you're helping them manage their journey so they can be successful.
Yeah.
Because one thing I've also learned working with new beginner exercises, is they don't know how to manage exercise, and most of the time they manage it too hard.
Yeah.
So they almost set themselves up for failure. So part of your journey as a coach beside a beginner is actually get them to pull back and allow them to manage it so they can be successful.
Totally.
And then, and it's because I need their first experience. Because if they come along to the first experience and they fail, they're not.
Totally. They won't carry on. There's, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas if they come along, they walk away from that first session, they go, "Oh, you go."
Sorry, I was going to say success breeds success.
Yeah. And then what happens is, I'm a big believer in belief comes from experience of success.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is we manage their success journey. So every time they turn up, we make sure they're successful.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we stretch them at the right level. So we're really delicate in how we grow them. And then what happens is they get consistently turn up, they consistently feel successful, so it gets the momentum of them moving forward. And then what we do is then eventually what happens is they go, shit, I can run 5Ks. I believe I can do this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I tell you what, it's always really fascinating. I know the moment I get this because they come up to me and they say, you know what's really funny, Bev? Two things. I never thought that I liked running, and I like running. And when I see other runners, I think I'm a runner now.
Oh, yeah. Belonging.
And what that tells me is they've shifted their identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you see yourself as a runner, you make behaviors like a runner.
So,
and that's how you know what I mean?
You put the uniform on, or mentally you put this uniform on, this outfit on, you're like, yes, I am that, yeah. And you start dressing
when you see other runners out there running, you think, oh, I'm one of them, and so part of my job as a coach is to guide that journey into that success journey, so people are guided, supported, and wisely kind of working through the pathway so they can be successful.
You take it from a different, it's brilliant. I mean, I think a lot of coaches, and going back to the coach side of things, struggle with this side of coaching where they're coaching they coach a system. They coach it's like it's just on the wheel, on the hamster wheel, just repeating the same thing. Where, and I think that something has to change globally, where the coaches that stand out further are the ones that go along these lines, that look at the success of the mental side of the ability. If you, like you said, success brings success. So if you're looking at how they are emotionally attaching to the exercise, how they are emotionally involved in the trainings, that's what's going to pull them along. I mean, I look at it always like you can take the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. But if you show the horse why they're drinking and the reasons behind it, and they'll go do it themselves. I think there needs to be a shift in coaching to go along these lines of how to just show something.
Well, and I totally agree because like the real journey of our 5K runners is a psychological journey. It's a personal development journey. Exercise is just the route we help them get there with, and we think of a lot of things. So, for example, everyone's unfit, haven't exercised a long time. A lot of overweight people. We know everyone's worried about being the last runner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one wants to be last.
Mm-hmm.
So we set up a system that basically no one can. What happens is they always do an out and back run, but it's based on time. So they will walk run. They go out for 14 minutes, but after 14 minutes, you might be faster than me, so you're further up the road. But then when we turn around, I'm now at the front. So it takes the emotional pressure of worrying about being the last.
Mm-hmm.
So when we design this product, we've got to think of all those little things that helps people to psychologically win.
Yeah.
And that's the exercise is probably only 10% of the reason the program we write around the exercise is only 10% of the reason they're successful. It's the psychological journey where we're kind of, without them knowing it, we're kind of creating a psychological journey for them, which allows them to be successful.
Yeah, you always hear this question, what can I do to get fit? What can I do to get fit? I mean, my response has always been like, well, just find something you love and you're passionate about, because it's something you'll hold on to, it's something you'll carry on to continue on with. I mean, there's so many ways you can do exercise. What people connecting with is the emotional attachment to this different product or this different brand. Les Mills is a freaking perfect example of that. Again, they're just like body pump, does bicep curls, squats and deadlifts. They do the same repetitive exercise, but it's so successful globally because the emotional attachment to it, whether it be the community, whether it be the people, whether it be the music, type of things like that. So going back in the coaching, go on.
Or just for you, what do you feel helps create success for people who aren't exercising?
See, for me, my first thing is always about the environment. So
Yeah,
it's the environment people get to, but have fallen into. I mean, it's like the old cooking a frog type of analogy, where if you put it into boiling water, it leaps back out, but you put it into
yeah,
the cold water and warm it up, and it stays there. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck when you look at it, whether it be through the year or through the lifetime. And I've definitely learned more of this over the last 3 years, because I got into that position where I trained. I didn't train one day, and then I did train it, and a couple of days off, and then there started being a gap, and there's a point where I actually got to about 3 months, and I didn't exercise, like go to the gym or train, but I was still active,
yeah,
and it's the same thing with people. I think they fall into the space where it's not everyone knows that sugar's bad for you. Coke and all those other things, it's not good. But they still have it. Smoking's not good for you, but they still have it, because they've been pulled into the space, this area, and this environment around them. And so always when it comes to exercise and stuff like that, to create changes, like yourself, like feel successful. It's never going. I'm never going to tell anyone that wants to start some running to go for a 1K or 5K run. I wouldn't even tell them. I'd like, just go for a walk if you want to, and how far, whatever you want. I don't care if you go out there for 60 seconds. That's the start. The same thing. It's a success breeds success. So if you feel good about going, the simple fact of someone getting off the couch, going outside to go stand outside, makes them feel better, and it's that emotional attachment of that felt good that's going to allow them to go outside again tomorrow or later on that day. And then nobody likes being told what to do, what they do. Like if they feel like, because no one likes to be out of control. So if it is something that's very simple, going back to going out the door, staying there, looking around, great, come back inside. Next day you might go out again, you might go for a little bit of walk, you might go for 100 meters down the road. The next day, might 150, whatever feel, and then you might do less one day, but then you go back out. Again, creating an environment around you. And I always talk about the people around you as well. When you say about runners that are around runners, they start to dress, act, if they're part of the community. Totally the same thing. If you want, it's hard. I know it's hard. Probably, I find it hard trying to help people understand that, there may be, especially close family members or friends that aren't into what you do, and without actually knowing, what they end up doing is they end up putting you down, or they end up holding you back. Not meaning to. It's just that they may not be into, for example, running. They may not be into running, but they're like, why would you go for a 1K run? That's silly. That's just do this or come out party. And they don't mean to try put it down, but what it does is it does have an effect. People do like to listen to people that are closest to them, and it's a shaky ground when you try and say, well, look, change your environment, and they go, well, I'm not going to get rid of my family, I'm not going to get rid of my friends. It's like, no one's saying that, but it becomes a different problem, or it becomes a different issue where you try and say, you don't have to get rid of them, but I'm saying, like, maybe you should look elsewhere, as far as if you want to start running, if you, like, one of your goals is to tick off a marathon, then go see people that are running, go to areas that go down. If you don't feel confident in a group, then go down to a space we know there's a running track and other people will be running. And just immerse yourself in that environment to create new habits, to create daily consistencies that allow you to feel successful every single day, and consistently you'll improve yourself. As far as I'm concerned, as long as you're consistent with it, you'll get better and better and better. So that's for me on that side of things.
Well, and I'll add to that, because I think that I'm a real big believer in, because we're different people in different environments.
Yeah, totally.
Who are you when if you go out for drinks with your mates on a Saturday night, we really are, because our environments influence us a lot.
Mm.
And, think of whoever's listening to us right now, think about this right now. Who are you when you're at work?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you when you're at home? Who are you when you're just out with your mates having a good night with your friends? Mm-hmm. You're all the same, but you're kind of slightly different, and different behaviors come in those worlds.
Yeah.
And so if we know that environments influence us, why would it be really wise about the environments we choose to put ourselves in? And it's kind of what you're saying there, isn't it? That if you are a beginner and you can find a really good beginner group exercise program,
mm-hmm.
that's going to be really supportive, got a great leader, you've got a much higher chance of success because that environment
Hugely.
nurtures that kind of growth.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the change. The change. You go back. Let's go with you. And when you made that change, when you're 24/7 on the drugs, alcohol. I mean, your environment completely changed, right? I imagine you weren't.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I had like 20 mates I hung out with all the time.
Yeah.
And the next week I didn't see them again. Like you really, and I was lucky. And it was one of the reasons it was easy for me to give up because I recently just joined the gym and I just started to kind of meet friends at the gym. So I literally stepped away from my druggy mates. And these weren't bad people. We just had bad behaviours. And then I went into a new environment and I was a totally new person.
Yeah.
And people always ask me, was it hard to go with drugs and alcohol? And I'm going to be honest, it wasn't because I was no longer around it. I didn't have to face it anymore because I was in a new environment.
Yeah.
Whereas if I tried to give up and stay in that old environment, I probably wouldn't have given up because I would have given in eventually.
Totally. 100%.
You know, so that's a real good example of it, isn't it?
It's a great thing too. How difficult, I mean, in this day and age, do you feel it is for people to achieve that? I mean, because a lot of people with social media, society is all about, people are scared about being judged. And they also have this fear of loss. I mean, when it comes to making changes and like saying, I'm sorry, but I'm definitely like that. If some friend is not enhancing your life or not at least neutral or positively influencing your life, then for me, you should remove them out of your life. I mean, it's not it's not that they're a bad person. It's just they're different from what you are and what you want to do with your life. That's their choice. What they want to do.
Helping you move towards who you want to be, maybe it's time to move towards people who would.
Totally.
Which is a hard thing to say, and it can be hard if it's family, but the people we surround ourselves with are a reflection. It's interesting. My daughter's a really good example of this. I've got a 22-year-old daughter, and when she left, they were good kids, but she was a bit like me. The kids were just not doing good things, and then she decided she wanted to go travel, so she went to Australia. And my daughter wasn't doing amazingly well at life at that moment when she went to Australia. She's met a new bunch of friends. They're all ambitious. They all got this kind of get ahead in life attitude. And my daughter, like in like a turnaround moment, is a totally different person. Still same kind of personality. Yeah. But now she's ambitious. She's trying to grow. She's trying to get ahead. She sees a future that's really bright. Yeah. And it's really obvious. It's ultimately, she's just changed her environment.
How then? So the question comes back to then how? If the things that you've learned that what makes it easier for people to be able to make these changes, or is there like? I
think you've got to explore. I think to me, I think you've got to go. Like, I think, like for example, if you're trying to find a fitness product, don't just sign up to the first one you sign up to, but literally go around and try 10 different products in your local area. And while you're trying the exercise, what you're really trying to figure out is what's the environment like. Yeah. Because do you feel supported? Do you feel the people in there are the kind of people you'd like to hang out with? Because like going back to my running group, we've learned that if we can help them make friendships, they're going to be more successful. So they do a lot of things to help them build friendships because we know that if they build friendships, they're going to come along because there's a social accountability. They want to hang out with their mates. So I would say if you're someone who's not exercising and you are listening to what we're saying right now about environment, don't just go to the first gym you try. Go in and go, what's the environment? What are these people? How does it feel? What do I feel supportive? And if I guarantee if you can pick the right one, the chance of your success in exercise goes through the roof. Yeah,
massively. I totally agree. 100%.
And that's why, like, I think of you and I and our job. Our job is to create environment.
Yeah.
Our job is to create. Like, I'm really proud. I did a testimonial for my running group the other day, and we did a testimonial with this lady called Lisa. Lisa had she'd probably be late 30s, maybe early 40s. Hadn't exercised in a long time. Not in a healthy place. Yeah. And we did this testimonial, and one thing she said was, I went to the first session and I instantly knew I belonged. Wow. And I was like, I was so proud of that quote because I was like, that's what we're trying, that's the environment we want to create. And great fitness leaders are thinking of that. Yeah. They're thinking of what's the environment that I want someone who's coming into my world, what do I want them to feel? And I was just like, when she said that, it was just the most proudest thing I could hear in my career. Because it's like, I've taken someone who's never exercised and I've made them a world where first day they walk in and go, oh, this is for me. And we all know belonging is a big part of humanity. So
Huge.
if you feel like belonging in your fitness environment, you're going to go back, aren't you?
Every single time, it's the addictions.
And like I imagine, you've gone back to playing sport. I know you're playing touch rugby.
Yeah.
And I imagine being part of a team again makes you feel belonging.
Oh, massively. It's like what and exactly this, and like for me, what I ended up doing was just going down and playing a couple of games of touch. So what now is I've actually created the teams. So
So you're creating the environment.
I'm creating the environment, yeah. So it's been the same thing, going that side of things. So it was like, I enjoy this. There was teams around there, and funny enough, it was that the team there was a very good team. There's one very good team there, and they're fantastic. They're very, very good. But then I was like, well, I thought, well, that's great, and they got a good community. And for whatever reason, it was just like, well, I'd like to do it. I like that kind of thing myself, and so it was like, let's see if I can do the same kind of thing, and then put together teams that would be competitive against each other, because then you could learn and grow. It wasn't for any badness or anything. It was just like, if we can put another good team together, then we'd have much good battles. They could have good team battles, and then everyone would grow and get better. And then that's what's happened, And then we create these communities, and same thing. These guys, some guys want to go to this team, some guys want to come to our team, but in the end, we're all good mates and stuff like that. The communities within the community of touch rugby.
And what you've done there is what I think is a great job of a great fitness professional is you create a world. Great fitness professionals create worlds.
Yeah.
And they create worlds where, what you've done is you've not just, because you had a dominant team, but you've actually created a world which makes everybody higher.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what I like to think about is what worlds am I creating? What all that kind of stuff, because if people can come into my world and they feel like they belong, then I'm going to help more people get fit. If people come to your touch team and they feel like it's about growth and about challenge, they're going to be better people, and that's what it's all about.
How long have you had this the running group for? Because it's been quite a while.
People grow. That's what it's all about.
It's funny because the running type of side of things. I mean, obviously you're huge into running. You've done running for so long. I mean, it's been a massive part of career. When it comes back into, I'm doing body attack, but no, I don't want to ever run. Do you see that at all, or?
The big difference is not that my running group's better than the listeners, because it's far from it. The only thing I wonder with group exercise is does it just become a habit eventually?
Oh yeah,
it just still grows. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
Like Les Mills, Les Mills is, don't get me wrong, I love the shit out of Les Mills.
Yeah.
But someone who's done body tech every day for 20 years, whereas often when you do like an event, you're going towards a goal.
Yes.
And so, like if you're going to run a marathon, it's a goal, which is a real growth journey. Whereas something like a body pump class is more of a habit that I maintain to keep myself healthy and fit.
Yeah.
But that's, that's where we look at like CrossFit. CrossFit definitely has that kind of an event you work towards. So that would probably be the only difference. But I really love what Les Mills does. I think they're great. I think they've got, well, look at the success. It's proven.
You can't say
and it's not to say there's anything wrong with just having a habit of exercise. I do think it's good to, like, what's really interesting when you see gym members who do lots of classes is when they do events, they do really well because it's really for people.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? I'm sure you're an example of that. Like when you started doing events,
I just run a marathon. I just do a half Ironman. No worries about it. Let's just go do it. Just sign up the day before.
And I'm sure you did pretty well. And gym people often have wicked fitness. They just never actually use it in their world where they kind of test it.
Totally.
And I think it's good for them because it just makes them feel great about themselves because they are so fit.
So where would you recommend? Well, not recommend. Where do you see better retention? Having those two differences, one being an habitual thing that keeps you fit, the other one being a goal orientated where you're part of a community. With these,
it's a really good question. I don't know. To be honest.
Like, do you see one for like longevity? Some people say with goals, like goal orientated people, if they haven't got a goal, they're going to stop, right? And then
I do know what you're saying, because some people will, like, I remember I was a bit like that when I was younger. My saying was, I'm only as good as my goal.
Yeah.
which nowadays I'm not. Now I'm a consistent person. I still like to have goals, but I'm not dependent on them.
Yeah.
So I think probably ultimately what we want to say is you need to know what works for you.
Yeah.
Some people, like if you are that person who needs a goal, make sure you always got a goal in place.
Yeah,
Once
massively.
you finish a goal, have a bit of a moment off and then reset a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're someone who's a bit more just habitual, that's fine as well. I don't think there's a wrong or right.
Yeah.
It's just what's right for you.
Yeah, totally.
It's like that thing of some people like to tell the whole world they've set a goal and some people don't want to tell anybody. Now, that's not wrong or right. It's just what's right for you, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, 100%. It goes down those lines. Because now I'm thinking about the whole, how many people have done the whole one marathon and that's it, done the whole one Ironman or one thing.
Well, and that's the thing, like, I would fail if somebody just did 5K and then went back to what they had done. Like, to me, I see, like I remember years ago we had this guy called Ewan do our 5K group, and he was a builder, big stocky guy builder, and he came along. He literally came up to the first running session in his building boots, like just imagine this. Real fun guy, real good guy. He ended up running 5Ks with us, and then he didn't rejoin the group.
Yeah,
and it was just because building was so busy, and he just couldn't fit it in. And then about 2 years later, I saw him and I said, "Oh, how you going, mate? Did you keep your running up?" He said, "Oh, Bevan, I've actually gone on to do a marathon."
Oh, really?
And I was like,
in his work boots,
yeah.
or?
And to me, no, hopefully, but to me, we've done our job because we got him on the exercise journey.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, if you're moving consistently in your life's better. And how you do it and what way works for you, as long as you're doing it, that's the most important thing.
It's got me thinking of how it's one of those things I struggle with as a professional. I mean, I don't do PT anymore. I don't do group fitness anymore. But what I've definitely struggled with is to empower. How do you always keep empowering people? Because you see it yourself day in and day out, how much of a difference it makes in your own life, how much more productive you are, how much more social you are, how much more relaxed you are, how much of a better day you have in your life. And it's so, I fight with that whole, you should love this, I can't believe you're not doing this, the understanding the opposite mindset is where the struggle comes. And 40 years later, still struggling to, how do you help someone that says they want to change, but yet struggles to change? Those ones out there that I want to lose weight, but then they won't stop smoking, they won't stop partying, they won't stop the late nights, they won't stop the bad habits and stuff like that. And it's we talk about it now about how many times we can encourage, or how many different ways. Like we've talked about so many different ways already that we can encourage with the environment, the way to talk, the way of success, to get people set up. Yet there's still so many people out there. I still think like the active audience is maybe only 10-20% of the global population, if that. There's far less. There's so many more people that could be, should be, or see the benefits of exercise. And I don't know, there's still a long way to go, right, bro?
Oh, mate, it really is. And but one thing I often talk about is our industry has to take a bit of a blame for that, because the problem with the fitness industry is we're really good at creating products for fit people.
Yeah.
But we're not very good at creating products for non-fit people.
Totally.
Hugely. Like, if you're fit, million great products out there, and they all work. Mm-hmm. They're all great. All products do a great job of getting people fit, but they're all designed for fit people. Yeah. And that's where our 5K product has been really successful, because we've designed it with a beginner in mind. And it's a completely, like, we've got a half marathon group. The way we coach those people is completely different to how we coach our beginners. And and I think that's one thing as an industry we need to kind of pull our pants up on, because it's like we need to be developing more products that allows those beginners, because the beginner goes along to a CrossFit class, they walk away failing.
Yeah.
It's too hard, and even like even some of the Les Mills programs. They're like, I love Les Mills, but if a beginner goes and does the CX workout, it's a hard workout, man.
Smash.
And I'm a fit man, and I find it hard. So I think one thing as an industry as a whole is we probably need to start putting more attention towards creating products that allows that 90% who are unsuccessful actually be successful, because they've proven that they can't do it by themselves.
Totally. Here's another question to you then. When you look at it like that, because obviously when people get into doing these groups and stuff, obviously people need to put bread on the table, and then things become commercialized. I mean, is it because people people are trying to have the greatest fad, the greatest niche, like boot camp or different like hit class. Everyone's trying to reinvent the same wheel because those people are buying it. So how can like, you know, as an industry, how do you step away from that? There's like that money. There's like a money bag in front of you, right? And you're like going, oh well, let's jump in this pool and let's take part of that money. But then, totally. I've tried it. In fact, the last year, was it just over a year ago, 2 years ago, I was a part of a company that was doing that. The target was the greater audience, that 90% of people who are not active, and that's what the whole idea was, is to just gamify, make it really simple, make it really accessible, make it easy for people to be a part of just activity, not so much exercise. I mean, obviously there's a pathway within the product that allowed you to develop and go forward and to develop a love and passion for fitness, but the main focus was people that are inactive and going that way. And one of the struggles we found was that the product at the end of the day was a fitness product. You can't, you know, it's all pretty much the same, okay? But the struggle was that the mindset still is with people that don't want to exercise. They don't want to exercise. You know what I mean? Yeah. We need to make, definitely, I agree with you 100%. There should be more products out there that do it. I think you're right where the fitness-minded person probably isn't the right person that's going to do that. I think it's probably going to be the non-fitness-minded person, or the person who is lazy. That person is probably going to come up with that product that allows other couch potatoes to get off the couch and just be active. Never mind exercise. Exercise is probably a word that a lot of people will never want to use in their entire life. You know. Yeah. So totally agree with the whole industry thing. Yeah. There needs to be something out there, but it's just hard. And who could do that? I don't know. Like, for me as a fitness mind, I struggled with trying to relate the product, even though it was to the market. To the market, we were trying to go towards. You know, we were talking about we had an elderly audience that would just want to be staying active, and then the other audience was the ones that are overweight, maybe obese, that simply just wanted to move. And the struggles was you don't probably actually need a fitness product. You probably just need maybe if it's a game or a reward system. That's just getting active. Yeah, totally. Just getting them moving. You know, you get rewarded just for stepping outside your door, you know, type of thing like that, or you get rewarded just for putting down that piece of pie or that cake or whatever it was that's gonna.
And in fairness, and as much as I think our industry has something to blame. The consumer has some blame as well, because consumer rewards the industry for selling them shit they don't need. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're battling against. Like 45, they have these 8-week. Do you have 45 over there?
Yes, yeah. The four of them.
Yeah. And they have these 8-week challenges. And it's a really short-term bad thing, because basically, what do? You do an 8-week diet, which is basically not maintainable in the long term. Sure, people lose weight on it, but they all put it back on. Mm-hmm. It's a really bad habit, but it sells. And so it encourages F45 to create a product that's not good.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And so the consumer doesn't help either. And I think one thing, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, shit, you know, this is for me, I am a beginner exerciser. Yeah. It's a life journey. It's a life journey of loving movement. Yeah. You know, and it ain't a 6-week journey, you know, like it isn't, it's a life journey of realizing that by having movement in my life is better. Yeah. And so what's a wise path for me to walk down on that journey, you know, and to me to learn the right lessons along the way at the right time, so that a year from now, I just understand what it's like to enjoy activity in my life. And to me, that's, the user, the consumer, has to stop looking for the quick fix, because the quick fix, even if it works, always falls back. Yeah. You know, totally. Whereas you look at people who create long-term sustainable change, is they have a long-term wise pathway forward. And so it is partly that as well. it's definitely it's the biggest challenge for our industry, isn't it?
Oh man, everyone's looking for that red pill, blue pill type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
Crazy.
hey, get it done.
Yeah.
Man, I have to say that it's really I can't think of the word, bro. I'm just saying it's really cool to be able to talk to you about a lot of this stuff. The passion and the fuel. I'm resonating with it really a lot. Just think we've done about an hour already in it.
Yeah, no, I think we'll probably wrap it up. I think it's my bedtime, mate.
I was thinking it must be 8:30 p.m. at night over there. But totally, we didn't have a plan for this, by the way, guys. We just kind of just jumped in. We
had no plan, did we?
Yeah, totally. We've gone. But it's been hugely interesting and really some big insights I've taken out of this, and I'd definitely love to have you back on. I'd love to do more with you in your podcast and stuff like that, for sure. Let's look to wrap this up, because in summary, we've gone along. The change, change is a big part. There's lots of points we've actually gone through. Just think where you can start, mate. A summary on, actually, how would you summarize? Could you summarize this?
I would say, if you ask somebody who's listening to this and realizing that you do need to create some change, I'd say probably I'll talk to two people. If you ask someone who's listening to this and who does want to make change in your life, that environment thing's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And look for people who have created an environment where you feel you belong,
mm-hmm.
where you feel they will safely guide you,
mm-hmm.
and where you can feel you can be a part of a community. Because if you can do that, you increase your chances massively. Also, work at the right level where you are right now. Don't be too ambitious. Just get into the habit, and they will go from there. And realize that it's not a movement game, it's a psychology game. And that's what you're trying to learn. And then if fitness professionals, because I'm sure fitness professionals listen to this, realize it's your job to be the creator of that environment, and then to nurture your people so that they do have a safe world where they can develop themselves and get all those benefits of exercise. And if we can encourage more fitness professionals to do that, then maybe we will be doing more of that what we were talking about before.
100%, bang on. Bro, I've just chucked up your website, bevanjameseyles.com, correct?
Yep, check it out. Yeah,
they can find all the podcasts on there as well, and your social media tag, or your hash, what is it called, handle?
Instagram, Bevan James Eyles. Just look at Bevan James Eyles where we are.
Yeah,
can't go wrong. And Eyles is Eyles.
Yep,
so,
I did spell it correctly.
If you are listening to this, was that?
I did spell it correctly. I've got you can see it on the YouTube side. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Okay. So, I do have an online version of our 5K product, which is like a video version.
Cool.
If they go to my website and look at my running group, you can go on there and check it out. It's downloadable. It's basically videos of the exercises, but actually what it is, each week I take you through a mentoring session,
mm-hmm.
like a 20-30 minute mentoring session, which helps you learn all those psychological things you need to learn. So if you do want to run 5Ks through a system of mine, you can check that out go through my website.
Brilliant. Bro, we've got to get you back on. We've got to talk more. It's just the knowledge and experience just blows my mind, and it always has. So the guys that are watching, definitely reach out to Bevan. You can contact him directly. You can drop messages in the comment section here down below. But again, if you have any questions, let us know. If there's any topics you'd like us to talk about as well, let us know about those kind of topics. I'm sure lots of knowledge when it comes to fitness, understanding, and the emotional side of it as well, the emotional connection with fitness. Guys from Fine for People, thank you guys very much for joining us. Until next time, we'll see you then. But remember, daily, 10:30 a.m. Dubai time, you can contact us and be in touch as well. But bro, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to sign this one off. If you just wait right there, I'll come back to you in a second.